Welcome, survivors, seekers, and thrivers. I'm your host, Shari Leigh Roberts, psychic medium, energy healer, and living proof that you can transform your pain into power. Each episode, we dive into trauma healing, developing your intuitive gifts, and reclaiming your life. Get ready for real stories, deep wisdom, and a little laughter along the way.
Well, come back. To the day I am talking with Dr. Fred Moss, psychiatrist. With forward you are going to find what he has to say. Laying nothing but unconventional and remarkable. He is all about how being people radiant their voice after trauma. This is of course a topic near and dear to many. Having lost my voice literally and figuratively, after a lifetime of trauma. Welcome, Dr. Fred.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Please tell us how you came about using the healing methods that you use.
So, I was born a healer, right? I was born into a family with two brothers, 10 and 14 years old, and they were fighting with my parents. There was a lot of conflict and chaos and disarray. And I was called on to bring joy and peace and fun and freedom and love to that family. And so as soon as I arrived, that's what my job was. And I figured that out very early, apparently. And I was a rolling bundle of joy. I was very precocious. I was cute. I was funny. I was smart. I had all those things going for me. And I did a really good job of communicating those things and creating peace in a family that was having difficulty finding it. And then I wanted to learn how to communicate. I really learned, and I guess this is probably something you work with as well regularly, which is learning the power of communication. When somebody can actually understand me, or when I can be understood, or when I can connect somebody, or be, harmonically resonate with some deep magic in there. And I watched my brothers do that, and I wanted to learn someday how to do that as well. I wanted to be like my brothers, and then shortly after my sister was born, and I ended up being her translator. She had a lisp as well in the early years, and the only person who could understand her was me. So I would have to go around with her and tell my parents what she said, or tell my brothers what she said. And I somehow understood her through her words, through her lisp, or through her speech impediment. And then I just wanted to learn how to communicate. So I thought that would happen in elementary school, but it did not happen there. Instead, they told me to, sit down, be quiet, and do what the teacher says. And I tried that, but that wasn't communication. And I talked a lot. I talked all the time. All my elementary school teachers, none of them have forgotten me, I'm sure. And I talked into junior high, and I thought that junior high would be a place that I learned, but it wasn't any better there. And then I thought high school, but it wasn't any better there. They just kept on telling me to be quiet, sit down, do what they say. So I started seeing that school was ridiculous, and I started skipping a lot of classes and spending a lot of time in the community, a lot of time in the streets, a lot of time hitchhiking, a lot of time trying to learn what's going on in the world. And eventually decided that I would learn how to communicate at college. There was a college that was 40 miles away. It was a very prestigious college, and everyone in my neighborhood wanted to get into that college. And so that University of Michigan, and I went into the University of Michigan after high school. And there I learned how to communicate, not in school, but in Ann Arbor, for sure. I was in the streets a lot again. I really enjoyed Ann Arbor, maybe a little bit too much, and then I had to drop out. So I dropped out and got on a bus and went to Berkeley, California with all my stuff, and I spent the summer there at the youth hostel, and it was great. I communicated and learned a lot, but it wasn't sustainable. And then there was this new opportunity, a new industry growing, and they thought that I might be good at it. It was called computers. And the only computer in all of Michigan was at the University of Michigan. So back on a bus I went all the way back to Ann Arbor and tried again. And this time it was with computers and batch jobs and punch cards and Fortran and COBOL and all that. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that either. So I dropped out a second time. And this time I would go back to school again, but my mom told me that I was okay. I needed to get a job. So she got me a civil service applicant for being a child care worker at an adolescent at a state facility for adolescent boys. And I began that in January of 1980. And there, finally, I was communicating. And this time I was getting paid for it. And all I had to do was really meet these kids where they were. Like, just be with them and treat them like humans. I didn't care that they had a psychiatric diagnosis or that they were in a psychiatric hospital. Just meet them as if they're another human who doesn't know what they're doing, just like me. I don't know what they don't know what we're doing. We're on the same page. And this was very helpful. I was able to get them, to heal. I was able to get some, the healing went two ways. When they would heal because I would hear them, I would heal because I could be heard as well. And so this is when I really developed what I already knew, which is that healing comes from a deep human connection. As the years went on, I began to actually like that job a little bit, but I didn't like psychiatry, and psychiatry was running that business. And I didn't like the future of psychiatry, so I decided I would go into the field anyways, even though I hated it. Go in as a hero. I would go back to school one more time, finish my degree, go to medical school, residency, fellowship, internship, the whole thing. And sure enough, that's what I did. And over the next several years, I was working and going to school at the same time, getting my degree, getting my residency, getting my, fellowship. And eventually came out as a psychiatrist, a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and decided, and by that time, psychiatry had taken some turns for the worse, I think. Psychiatry was made up and chemical imbalance was made up. If you're uncomfortable, that meant there's something wrong with you. I don't agree with that. It's okay to be uncomfortable in this world. And so it's not pathology to be in pain or to be in misery or to be hopeless. It's part of what happens when we're human. So I was able to start doing that, but it was in the face of being asked to do other things that the psychiatrist's conventional role is, And I didn't like doing those things. So a little bit, the things I was being asked to do, I didn't like doing, and the things I wanted to do, I couldn't really do. Different worlds at the same time. It was a lot of heartbreak, a lot of duplicity. Then 2006, there was some things that happened, and I got to really put myself, like, what kind of clinician do I want to be? I started doing things like taking people off of their medicine and telling them that maybe they didn't have their diagnosis. And this was seen as pretty radical. It's funny that they think it's radical to take people off medicine, but not radical to put people on medicine. That's great. It's crazy. Nonsense.
Yeah.
So I did that, and they almost, like to a T, like 200 people got profoundly, reliably, predictably better. And in cases, their diagnoses just went away when I took away their medicine. And this was a finding, that the medicines were actually causing the perpetuation of the symptoms was a problem.
Yeah.
And how to get that to everybody, can I go to the mountaintops and scream it? Can I shake people by the scruff of their neck? No, it's not. That's not it. Actually, it's a matter of education. And having people see that it's not the medicine's fault, it's not the hospital's fault, it's not the doctor's fault, it's not big pharma, it's not insurance companies, it's not the doctors, it's not at the hospital. What it is that people think there's something wrong with them, and when they think there's something wrong with them, they go and enter the system looking for confirmation of what's wrong with them. In psychiatry, unlike any other field that I know of, if as a psychiatrist someone comes to my office and I tell them that I think that they're okay, they actually get mad. They actually get furious. They don't want to be okay. They come to me to determine what is wrong with them, not to determine whether there's something wrong with them. Yeah. So I began to see everyone as normal, and so there's a little bit of a problem. Like everybody's doing whatever they can do, given who they are, to try to make it through this crazy world, and that's okay. Like I can appreciate that. Whatever. Even him, even her, even them, even those people, even like that. They're all doing their very best to make sense of this world, one way or another. So if I can respect that, I have a new starting space, and that's what my new, in the next nearly decade plus, is when I created new brands like Global Madness or True Voice Technology or Welcome to Humanity, which is my main brand, or Creative 8 or Being the Undoctor. And really do the Moss method, things that I've put together that really help people get aligned, help people get cleaned up, help people find their core values, find their true, honest, authentic, real self, and then come from there. Because if you're not coming from your real self, you can't really create relationships. Because then you're presenting yourself as someone that you're not. Usually to protect the person that you are, which is so ludicrous. Like you're going to become someone you're not in order to protect the person that you are. Now that's what we do. That's what we humans do, our modern humans, is we pretend to be people that we're not in order to protect the people that we are. It's a ludicrous, preposterous, absurd strategy, but we all know about it, and we all kind of do it. It's because we don't want to be thrown off the island. We don't want to be a distraction. We don't want to be dismissed. We don't want to be disregarded. Yeah. So we say things sometimes that even we don't believe. It's crazy, again, I don't even know what kind of thinking goes into that. How could you actually say things that you don't even believe? Like, it's just wild. But really helping people get back to center, and that there's some very real comfort inside of the vulnerability of finding your true self and then being that person. So that's what we did, and that's what I did. And over the last several years, I began to be a coach, a transformational coach, a restorative coach, helping people stay out of the psychiatric system. I've been taking a lot of stages. I've written a couple more books. My memoirs are written, and they're in a second proof already, so they should be out next month. A psychiatrist, it's called Welcome to Humanity. Psychiatrist, let's see, 1 second. It is, the tagline, I sometimes forget what it is, but let me just find it.
Yeah.
The tagline is a psychiatrist's case against the mental health system.
Yes.
So, psychiatrist's case against the mental health system, and I'm excited about that. That should be out here in within about a month. And I also have a retreat coming up where I'm gathering together people who have lots to contribute. I don't want you to come to the retreat if you think you're going to get something out of it. I want you to come to retreat and give to others. So some high-powered clinicians who are contributing. So maybe 24 people in Charlotte, North Carolina on September 17th. I'm very excited about that as well. And I'm still doing some expert work. And most recently, I started doing some work in the financial industry, helping people with insurance, helping people get their finances straight. And what I've learned, somewhat surprisingly, is that when I help people with their money, I help them more than I ever did as a psychiatrist. Like when people know where their money is and where their stability is, and that they're protecting themselves and protecting their family, there's a new level of core comfort that's different than anything psychiatry has to offer. So it's been very rewarding. Yeah. Yeah, so the Moss method, I didn't make up anything in the Moss method. I just compiled it. There's 20 things. There's 20 things that we can do to get ourselves more stable and grounded in this very difficult, challenging world. Some of these things, I don't remember all 20 all the time, but I can remember 15 or so. Some of them in like meditation and gratitude and getting outdoors. So introduction to morning sky and doing a little bit of movement, and then nutrition and hydration and detoxification, no white powders, no flour or granulated sugar. Those things have been hurting humanity for several decades now. Creativity, art, music, dancing, singing, drama, cooking, writing, gardening, things like that. And then sleep hygiene is really important, as is like there's pets and there's writing, journaling, and then there's reading really good books out of the book, not necessarily off your computer or Kindle. And then really watching our screen time is also very important. Spirituality is really important, finding your position with some form of higher power, and then being of service, like actually helping another person, helping anybody do anything. So there's this list of things that we all know actually can give us greater clarity and greater groundedness, and I invite people to take those on as ways of getting yourself aligned with the ultimate goal, which is to ultimately create relationships with other human beings. So you can share with them and share your goods and share your gifts, and also so that you can hear them and connect with them and be with them in such a way that you see who they are and who they're not, and you hear who they are or who they're not. You can create a relationship, and in that relationship, that's where things get done.
Being called upon to be the joy maker in your family. How did you know?
Yeah, so like I said, I think it came on day one. I don't know. I don't remember a time before that. I think I've known from the very beginning that I can heal people, that in my present, not that I got the magic gift. I don't have things on my fingertips. I don't have magic fairy dust per se. What I have is that I create the clearing. You know, if I'm funny, then I can make people laugh. If I'm sad, then I can make people cry. If I'm needy, then I can make people rescue me. If I'm, if I'm kind of all those things of communication. And I realized you don't know. I don't remember a time before that. I think that I've been in learning from people and listening to people and making sense of humanity. And, sometimes I get really frustrated too, and sometimes I get really angry and really irritated. So it's not like I'm exempt from that. So I can still get pretty upset. But, in the end, what I do know is that, ultimately human connection is what does the healing for nearly all conditions of all types everywhere. And so that's an exciting thing for me. And, when I dropped out of college the second time, I had no idea what my future would hold. Maybe I'd be a bartender, maybe I'd be a truck driver, maybe I'd be a plumber, maybe I'd be a bum, maybe I'd be a hitchhiker, maybe I'd be, a traveling musician or something. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So when my mom serendipitously got me that application for the mental hospital, I think then I realized that I could have that job for 30 years. I could be a childcare worker for 30 years and then I could retire. But when I decided to upgrade, I don't know that it's an upgrade, to actually go to medical school, I think at that point, that's when I put my stake in the ground and said that this is what I'm going to do for my life.
Well, tiền cả đất vợ mỏm it was all dear girl into how being together with their finances. They doesn't see him like
Right. Yeah, it's a good question. I was surprised as well. So thanks for noticing that it's surprising. It sort of looks like, it's something you do after you retire. Like, I don't know, I'll sell insurance or something like that. But what I really noticed, I made up with a friend and he was telling me what he was doing, and, our finances were a little bit scattered as well, my wife and I, and so we could use some help. And he kind of told me a little bit of what he was doing, which was, introducing these very clever financial arrangements that the insurance companies now have. They're not just insurance anymore, there's all sorts of investment opportunities and tax shelters. Yeah. And there's all sorts of ways to grow rich in areas where, up until now we've been, letting our money just sit there or maybe even losing money slowly. So once I started learning, started applying, delving into the field, I realized that I was helping people just like I thought I wanted to do as a psychiatrist, but I was helping people reliably without having to feed them any kind of medication or without having to downgrade them into any kind of diagnosis. Just actually listening to them and what they're hoping for and who they're hoping to protect and, what are their goals and dreams. And then putting together little bricks in a wall, or, putting together little bricks in a sidewalk so that they could get what they wanted. And so once I started doing that, there was a tremendous reward in being able to offer people what they need or what they want without having to alter it or sell them a bag of goods or to put toxic chemicals down their mouth, which I don't like doing. So this is just a way to improve and optimize and upgrade people's lives without having to go through all the rigmarole that comes with being a doctor.
So you are 有是才有儿靠儿。Programs there use when guiding people to their voice. You are saying your brain and giving people a police to say what their names are, and a lot of the times we are no more comfortable talking about ourselves than talking about our finances. They got to use really remarkable. They had your core principles are political across different areas. Were parents good communicators?
Were my parents good?
Yes.
I don't know. I think so. I think that they were. My brothers wouldn't say that they were. But I think for me, I was already 10 years older than my brother. I was already 10 years younger than my brothers. So teenagers by the time my parents were trying again with me. And so I think I got a different set of parents than they did. I think my parents were trying to communicate. They realized that communication was important. I'm not sure they were so good with my brothers were young, but I think they got a lot better in those 10 years between them and me. And my good communicator, he was pretty funny. He loved words. And I think my mom was able to get her point across and smart and articulate and literate. I think that they did emphasize the importance of communication, of speaking what's on your mind rather than acting out or looking it inside of yourself like that. I think that they taught me that. Feeling heard?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I didn't feel that anyone understood me. Maybe my mom a little bit. I was living a wild life already when I was a kid because I was like so precocious. I was tall. I was the tallest in my class, and I was, like a rebel, and I talked too much, and I was too smart, and I was too much trouble, and I knew that I was entertaining. I knew that I was entertaining with how much I knew and how funny I was and my love of music and rock and roll. I knew that I was entertaining. But I don't feel like I was being heard. I went to a psychiatrist myself when I was a teenager so that someone could hear me. So Dr. Gonzalez, he was a great doctor. I loved going to him, and he was probably one of my role models that eventually got me to go to psychiatry. And I would drive my bike over like 4 miles to see him in Birmingham, Michigan. And and I think my first experience of truly being heard, I'm pretty sure was at least underlined with Dr. Gonzalez. I think he could actually hear the challenges I was going through with being me.
sense that you were entertaining precocious, at least then you were seeing me being not heard, but you were seen.
I made myself seen. I was always a spectacle. I spoke out of turn. I dressed colorful. I was tall. I was loud at concerts, and I was loud at sporting events. So I think you're right. I was often seen, or the thing that I was projecting was seen. I'm not sure that Fred was seen. Only the thing that I was pretending to be was seen. So I'm not sure I really felt like the real me was being seen.
I can relate like so many people can. You and I grew up in the same area. I grew up in Troy.
Oh, in Troy.
Yeah.
That's where Gonzalez was. Gonzalez was actually on, his office was on Maple east of Woodward. So right in that, no, actually not on Maple, on Big Beaver east of Woodward. So 16 Mile and Woodward is where he was.
Okay. Wow. Probably. And they saying building that I worked in after high school.
The building was on the corner. The building was on the corner, one or two blocks east of Woodward.
Yeah.
It was I forgot the name of the street that runs parallel to Woodward. Maybe it is Troy. Maybe this name of the street is Troy. It's definitely his office. His home was in Birmingham, off of Maple, in the nice neighborhood, like maybe Maple and Southfield, like around there, between Southfield and Greenfield. But his office was, I think it was Maple and not Big Beaver. I think it was like there was a medical building, but it was maybe 15 or 16. I'm not sure. It might be Big Beaver. I think it is Big Beaver because Maple was too busy, so it was like Big Beaver. Yeah. What did you go to? Where did you go to school? Did you go to Troy?
Yeah.
What is it called?
No, I did go to Troy. Where did you go?
I went to Southfield Lathrop.
Oh my God. Now, do you still live?
No. I live in California. I've been all over the world, and I don't live in Detroit area anymore. And all my people have passed away. I am going there in August for my 50th high school reunion. So that's at Tam O'Shanter. It's at Tam O'Shanter, and the club. And I think it's on Telegraph. And so I'm going there in August for that. But I don't usually go to Detroit as much anymore. I was there for a funeral. Last year, my aunt, and then I'm also going to the retreat on August 9th.
Nice. Yeah, I have a daughter they are so I go back to visit her. I apologize for digressing in closing what words of wisdom would you like to impart on people who will hear this?
I think the thing I like to tell people is that maybe there's nothing wrong with them. Like maybe for real there's nothing wrong with you. It's okay if you're in a lot of pain. It's okay if you're afraid. It's okay, really afraid. It's okay if you're really sad. It's okay if you're really scared. It's okay if you're really anxious. It's okay if you're really depressed. It's okay if you're really distracted. It's all okay. We don't blame a log for burning in the fire. And we're all in a fire, and we're all doing our very best to bumble, stumble, and tumble through this world. We don't have an instruction manual. We don't have a recipe book. So we're all doing whatever we can, and maybe there's nothing wrong with you. And if you have to have something wrong with you, you can. There's plenty of people who will call you wrong, and including psychiatrists. No problem. They'll give you a diagnosis and tell you why you're different than everybody else. But you're not that different from everybody else. We're all experiencing the whole human thing. So I think the one word of wisdom that's most important to me is, maybe there's nothing wrong with you.
You're not broken. You haven't been heard or yes?
Yeah, you're not broken. You haven't been heard. That's exactly right.
Okay. I wrote a memoir titled broken to enlightened. And at the point I didn't even recognize myself, and I did feel broken, but came to learn that what you say is true. I had never been heard or seen really. My voice had been taken from me, and we worked to get that back. Good magical things have been Dr. Fred, thank you for being here and sharing all that you did. You are a remarkable human being. Keep on being you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you and all that you do and how you do it. You have a heart of gold. That's what they said, and they're right. So it's been a deep pleasure allowing me to be with your audience.
Thank you for listening. If today's conversation resonated with you and you're ready to explore your own healing journey or intuitive gifts, I'd love to work with you. I offer psychic medium readings, energy healing sessions, and intuitive development guidance at shariroberts.org. And if you're not quite ready for a session, but want to be a part of the conversation in a supportive community, join my private Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. This is Shari Leigh Roberts. Until next time, remember, you're never alone.